The hidden truth. In the quiet corners of Earth's most secure military base, a low-ranking officer named Lieutenant Alex Harper sat alone in his cramped, dimly lit office. It was past midnight, and the base was eerily silent. Harper was usually the last one to leave the command center, taking his time with reports that no one else wanted to deal with. He didn't mind. The silence allowed him to focus. But tonight, something unusual had caught his attention. For weeks, he had been reviewing an old communication system that was supposedly outdated. It had been left untouched by the higher-ups, considered obsolete and unnecessary. But Harper wasn't the type to leave things untouched. He had always been curious, always willing to dig deeper than what others thought was important. So when a strange anomaly appeared on his monitor, a low-frequency signal that didn't match anything Earth had ever sent out, he couldn't resist investigating. He ran the signal through every decryption algorithm he knew, trying to make sense of it. The code was fragmented, scattered like pieces of a puzzle, but there was something about the signal that kept pulling him in. It wasn't random. It was intentional. Someone somewhere had sent this. But why? And more importantly, who? After hours of work, Harper finally managed to isolate a coherent message hidden deep within the code. The words, when they finally appeared on his screen, were simple, yet chilling. Fleet activation. Coordinates 2361 Alpha. The message seemed harmless at first, but Harper's instincts told him this wasn't something normal. He immediately searched for any reference to 2361 Alpha in the military databases. But to his shock, there was nothing. It wasn't even in the classified archives. His heart skipped a beat. A fleet. What fleet? He scanned through every possible channel he could find, but it was as if the entire message had been scrubbed from existence. There were no records, no references, not even a whisper about it. Suddenly, his mind raced with the possibility that this was a mistake, a glitch. But Harper didn't believe in coincidences. He knew this was real. He had found something that no one else knew about, something that had been hidden from the world. And if this was true, it could change everything. Commander Pierce will know what to do, he muttered to himself, standing up from his desk. He couldn't keep this to himself any longer. The message was too important, too dangerous. Harper quickly gathered his things and made his way to the commander's office, the weight of his discovery bearing down on him. As he walked down the cold, metallic hallways of the base, a chill ran down his spine. The message he had decrypted was now imprinted in his mind. Fleet activation. Why would Earth have a fleet no one knew about? What was hidden from the public? Harper reached the commander's office and knocked firmly on the door. Inside, Commander Pierce, a seasoned officer with years of experience, sat behind his desk, eyes scanning over reports. "Come in, Lieutenant," Pierce called out without looking up. Harper stepped inside, holding the data pad containing the decrypted message. His heart pounded. He wasn't sure if he was ready to reveal the truth, but he knew it couldn't be avoided. "Commander, I found something. Something strange," Harper began, his voice low. He handed the data pad to Pierce. The commander took the pad, his expression unreadable as he began to read the message. Harper watched closely as Pierce's face shifted, a slight narrowing of his eyes, a barely perceptible furrow in his brow. "You decoded this?" Pierce asked, looking up at Harper, his voice colder than usual. "Yes, sir. There's no record of anything like this in the military archives, not even in the classified files," Harper replied. Pierce leaned back in his chair, studying the pad for a moment. Harper could sense that the commander was deep in thought, weighing his next move. "You're sure this is legitimate?" Pierce finally asked. Harper nodded. "It's real. The encryption was unlike anything I've seen before, but I'm certain it's not a mistake. It's a command, and it's asking for a fleet activation at these coordinates." He paused. "Commander, there's something bigger at play here. We need to know what it means." Pierce didn't respond right away. Instead, he stood up and paced around the room, as if processing the enormity of what Harper had just uncovered. Finally, he stopped and looked back at Harper. "You understand what this means, don't you?" Pierce said, his tone sharp. "If this fleet exists, and it's been hidden from the public eye, then the implications are massive. We're talking about a military force of unknown power, one that could change the balance of the entire galaxy." Harper's eyes widened at the commander's words. He hadn't considered that. A hidden fleet meant hidden technology, hidden power. And if someone was activating it now, Earth was preparing for something no one had anticipated. "What do we do?" Harper asked, his voice barely a whisper. Pierce's eyes locked with his. "We go to the coordinates. We find out what's really going on. But we're doing this carefully. We can't risk alerting the rest of the galaxy just yet. We need to understand this fleet and its purpose before we make any moves." Harper nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. They were about to uncover something that had been kept secret for decades, something that would alter the fate of humanity forever. As Pierce turned back to his desk, Harper couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery was only the beginning. Whatever this fleet was, it wasn't just hidden for safety. It was hidden for a reason. A reason that Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, was about to find out the hard way. The future was uncertain. The hidden fleet was about to be unleashed, and no one knew the consequences. The unfolding storm. The next few days felt like a blur to Lieutenant Alex Harper. He and Commander Pierce had quietly assembled a small team, all trusted officers, to investigate the coordinates and uncover the truth about the mysterious fleet. But despite the careful secrecy of their operation, the weight of the situation began to feel heavier with each passing hour. The more they discovered, the more they realized just how deep the mystery went, and how dangerous it could be. Harper sat at a control station deep within the base, staring at the screen in front of him. The coordinates from the signal had led them to a desolate star system located on the far edges of explored space. The stars were faint, distant, and the only objects of interest were the ruins of long-abandoned ships and broken planetary bodies. The more they studied, the more Harper became convinced that whatever lay hidden in this system had been deliberately hidden from the rest of the galaxy. But by who? And why? Suddenly, a soft chime interrupted his thoughts. It was a communication request from Commander Pierce. Harper's heart raced as he clicked the accept button. On the screen, Pierce's face appeared, grim and serious. "Lieutenant, I need you to come to the command center," Pierce said in a low, urgent voice. "We've received some unexpected visitors." Harper's brow furrowed. "What do you mean, sir, visitors?" Pierce hesitated for a moment before answering. "I'll explain when you get here. Just hurry." Harper's pulse quickened. He had been anticipating something like this. They had been keeping their investigation under the radar, but the galaxy had ears, and the moment they started digging, it was only a matter of time before someone noticed. He quickly gathered his things and made his way through the winding corridors of the base, his mind racing. Who could have found out? And what did they want? As he reached the command center, he found Pierce waiting by a large screen, his expression hard and focused. Harper approached, sensing the tension in the air. "Sir?" Harper asked, his voice tight. Pierce nodded at the screen. It displayed a fleet of ships, unlike anything Harper had seen before. The ships were massive, sleek, and ominous, distinctly alien. The insignia on their hulls was unfamiliar, but there was no doubt they weren't from Earth. The ships hovered at the edge of the star system they were investigating. "Who are they?" Harper asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "We don't know yet," Pierce replied. "But they've made it clear they know we're here. And they're not exactly friendly." Harper stared at the screen, feeling a cold shiver run down his spine. The ships were approaching rapidly, and there was no mistaking the intent behind their movement. They were preparing for something. "Are they from the Galactic Council?" Harper asked, the thought crossing his mind. Pierce shook his head. "I don't think so. The Council's ships wouldn't move like this. These ships are far more advanced, and their weapons are more sophisticated than anything we've ever seen. Harper clenched his fists. What are we going to do? Pierce turned to him, his face hardening. We're going to fight back, Lieutenant, but we need to be careful. We don't know who these people are or what they want. For all we know, they could be an enemy we've never encountered before. Harper nodded, trying to steady his breath. A sense of dread hung in the air. They were on the verge of something far bigger than just discovering a hidden fleet. Whoever these mysterious ships were, they had found them. And now, the confrontation was inevitable. The ships on the screen grew closer. They were massive, towering over anything Earth had ever built. Their smooth, metallic surfaces gleamed in the light of the distant star, making them look like something from a nightmare. Harper had to force himself to look away. He couldn't let fear take over. "We're being hailed," one of the communication officers said from the side. Pierce nodded sharply. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and a voice filled the command center. A voice that sounded cold, calculating, and utterly alien. "This is Commander Xerath of the Vordak Fleet. You have trespassed in our territory. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Harper's heart skipped a beat. The Vordak Fleet. He had heard of them. A ruthless, power-hungry race that had once tried to conquer parts of the galaxy before being defeated by the Galactic Coalition. The Vordak were supposed to be a thing of the past, just another extinct threat from history. But now, they were here, and they were demanding Earth's fleet leave. Pierce's face grew tight with determination. "Commander Xerath," he said, his voice firm, "we are not leaving. We are investigating a potential threat in this system. We will not back down. What do you want with us?" There was a long pause on the screen, and then Xerath's voice came again, this time with an edge of fury. "You have awakened something that was never meant to be disturbed. You will pay for your insolence." The transmission cut off abruptly. The room fell into a tense silence, broken only by the faint hum of the base's machinery. Harper's mind raced. They had underestimated how far the galaxy would go to keep its secrets hidden. But now, with the Vordak fleet threatening their lives, they had no choice but to respond. Harper looked at Commander Pierce, his thoughts racing. "What do we do now?" Pierce turned to face him, his face grim but resolute. "We prepare for battle, Lieutenant. We can't back down now. This fleet, this hidden fleet, it's more than just Earth's weapon. It's part of something much larger. And it seems like we've just stepped into the middle of it." Harper nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and adrenaline surge through him. The storm had begun, and there was no turning back now. Into the unknown. The tension in the command center was palpable. Lieutenant Harper could feel it in the air as he and the rest of the team prepared for what was coming. The Vordak fleet had made it clear they wouldn't tolerate Earth's presence in their territory. But Harper and Commander Pierce weren't willing to back down. Not now. Not when they were on the brink of uncovering the galaxy's most dangerous secret. The fleet of Vordak ships loomed ominously in the distance, their sleek designs floating in space like predators circling their prey. Harper knew this was no ordinary military encounter. The Vordak weren't just fighting to protect their territory. They were hiding something that Earth's hidden fleet had unintentionally triggered. And now, they were being forced to face the consequences. Commander Pierce stood before the main holographic display, his eyes scanning the map of the system. The base was on high alert, but despite all the preparation, they were still outmatched. The Vordak fleet was larger and more advanced. But what the Vordak didn't know was that Earth's hidden fleet, the one they had uncovered in the last few days, was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It wasn't just a fleet, it was a force of nature. "Lieutenant, I need you to gather the team," Pierce said, his voice steady but with a hard edge. "We've got no time to waste. If these ships decide to attack, we'll need all the firepower we can get. We're going to bring out the fleet." Harper nodded, feeling the weight of the command press down on him. This was it, the moment of truth. As he left the command center to find the rest of the team, Harper couldn't help but think about what the Vordak had said. You have awakened something that was never meant to be disturbed. What did they mean by that? Was the hidden fleet more than just a weapon? Was it tied to something far older, far more dangerous than they had realized? Pierce turned to him, his face hardening. We're going to fight back, Lieutenant, but we need to be careful. We don't know who these people are or what they want. For all we know, they could be an enemy we've never encountered before. Harper nodded, trying to steady his breath. A sense of dread hung in the air. They were on the verge of something far bigger than just discovering the hidden fleet. Whoever these mysterious ships were, they had found them. And now, the confrontation was inevitable. The ships on the screen grew closer. They were massive, towering over anything Earth had ever built. Their smooth, metallic surfaces gleamed in the light of the distant star, making them look like something from a nightmare. Harper had to force himself to look away. He couldn't let fear take over. We're being hailed, one of the communication officers said from the side. Pierce nodded sharply. Put it through. The screen flickered, and a voice filled the command center, a voice that sounded cold, calculating, and utterly alien. This is Commander Xaroth of the Vordak fleet. You have trespassed in our territory. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences. Harper's heart skipped a beat. The Vordak fleet. He had heard of them. A ruthless, power-hungry race that had once tried to conquer parts of the galaxy before being defeated by the Galactic Coalition. The Vordak were supposed to be a thing of the past, just another extinct threat from history. But now, they were here, and they were demanding Earth's fleet leave. Pierce's face grew tight with determination. Commander Xaroth, he said, his voice firm. We are not leaving. We are investigating a potential threat in this system. We will not back down. What do you want with us? There was a long pause on the screen, and then Xaroth's voice came again, this time with an edge of fury. You have awakened something that was never meant to be disturbed. You will pay for your insolence. The transmission cut off abruptly. The room fell into a tense silence, broken only by the faint hum of the base's machinery. Harper's mind raced. They had underestimated how far the galaxy would go to keep its secrets hidden. But now, with the Vordak fleet threatening their lives, they had no choice but to respond. Harper looked at Commander Pierce, his thoughts racing. What do we do now? Pierce turned to face him, his face grim but resolute. We prepare for battle, Lieutenant. We can't back down now. This fleet, this hidden fleet, it's more than just Earth's weapon. It's part of something much larger, and it seems like we've just stepped into the middle of it. Harper nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and adrenaline surge through him. The storm had begun, and there was no turning back now, into the unknown. The tension in the command center was palpable. Lieutenant Harper could feel it in the air as he and the rest of the team prepared for what was coming. The Vordak fleet had made it clear they wouldn't tolerate Earth's presence in their territory. But Harper and Commander Pierce weren't willing to back down. Not now, not when they were on the brink of uncovering the galaxy's most dangerous secret. The fleet of Vordak ships loomed ominously in the distance, their sleek designs floating in space like predators circling their prey. Harper knew this was no ordinary military encounter. The Vordak weren't just fighting to protect their territory. They were hiding something that Earth's hidden fleet had unintentionally triggered. And now, they were being forced to face the consequences. Commander Pierce stood before the main holographic display, his eyes scanning the map of the system. The base was on high alert, but despite all the preparation, they were still outmatched. The Vordak fleet was larger and more advanced. But what the Vordak didn't know was that Earth's hidden fleet, the one they had uncovered in the last few days, was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It wasn't just a fleet, it was a force of nature. Lieutenant, I need you to gather the team, Pierce said, his voice steady but with a hard edge. We've got no time to waste. If these ships decide to attack, we'll need all the firepower we can get. We're going to bring out the fleet. Harper nodded, feeling the weight of the command press down on him. This was it, the moment of truth. The first clash. The silence of space was shattered by the sound of weapons fire as the Vordak fleet unleashed its fury on Earth's newly awakened fleet. Bright beams of energy lanced through the dark void, cutting through the darkness like deadly daggers. The Vordak ships, their sleek, alien forms glowing with hostile intent, fired with precision and power, their weapons seemingly unmatched by anything Earth had ever encountered. Harper's heart pounded in his chest as he watched from the command platform, the tension in the air palpable. This wasn't just a skirmish. This was a war for survival. The Vordak weren't just defending their territory. They were determined to obliterate Earth's fleet before it could uncover the truth behind the ancient human ships. "Shields at 75%. One of the technicians shouted. "We're taking fire." The room fell into chaos as officers scrambled to respond to the sudden attack. Harper clenched his fists, his mind racing. They had prepared for this, yes, but nothing could have prepared them for the sheer scale of the Vordak assault. Each shot felt like it carried the weight of centuries of galactic history, and each one was aimed at them with deadly precision. "Lieutenant, we need to return fire." Steele's voice crackled over the comms. Harper turned to her, his eyes narrowing. "Do we have the weapon systems online?" Steele nodded. "Yes, but the power output is still stabilizing. We need more time." Harper gritted his teeth. Time was something they didn't have. The Vordak fleet was relentless, and every moment they spent in defense was a moment that brought them closer to defeat. But Harper had something they hadn't yet revealed. A trump card, the key to turning the tide of battle in their favor. "Activate the fleet's main weapons," Harper ordered. "We don't have time to wait." Steele's eyes widened. "Are you sure, Lieutenant? The energy consumption is astronomical. We risk overloading the systems." "We don't have a choice," Harper said, his voice cold. "We need to fight back now, or we'll be destroyed." Steele hesitated for a moment, but then nodded in agreement. She turned back to the control panel, entering a sequence of commands that would bring the fleet's most powerful weapons online. The massive ships of Earth's fleet began to glow with an eerie light as their weapons systems powered up. Harper's eyes followed the flickering energy readings on the display, the numbers climbing higher and higher until they reached a critical threshold. "Firing," Steele said, her voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. A blinding flash of energy erupted from the fleet, streaking toward the Vordak ships in a brilliant cascade of light. The first blast hit its target, sending one of the Vordak ships reeling from the impact. The explosion was massive, sending debris spiraling out into space. But the Vordak weren't fazed. They immediately returned fire, their weapons slamming into Earth's ships with punishing force. The battle was underway. Harper watched as the Vordak ships fired in perfect coordination, their weapons cutting through space like laser-guided missiles. Each shot was designed to disable, to destroy. But Earth's fleet wasn't giving up without a fight. The ancient ships maneuvered with surprising agility, dodging and returning fire with the devastating power of their own weapons. "Shields holding at 60%. One of the officers shouted. Harper knew that they couldn't keep this up forever. The Vordak fleet was too advanced, too powerful. They were being pushed back, slowly but surely, with every passing minute. But something inside Harper told him that they had only just scratched the surface of what this battle was truly about. This wasn't just about survival. It was about uncovering the truth hidden in the galaxy's darkest corners. "Keep firing," Harper ordered. "We need to break through their defenses." The energy beams from Earth's fleet continued to fire relentlessly, striking the Vordak ships with precision. Slowly but surely they began to inflict damage. One of the larger Vordak ships buckled under the force of a direct hit, its shields flickering out. It was a small victory, but Harper knew that this was only the beginning. In the chaos of battle, Harper received a new transmission. The Vordak fleet was hailing them once again. He hit the button to accept the message, and once again, Commander Xaroth's face appeared on the screen. This time, His expression was twisted with rage. "You dare to resist us?" Saruth's voice was like ice, cold and menacing. "You have awakened the worst of the galaxy. You will regret this. The consequences of your actions will be felt across the stars." Harper felt a shiver run down his spine. The Vordak were not just defending themselves. They were making a statement. They weren't just trying to destroy Earth's fleet. They were sending a message to the entire galaxy. "We won't back down, Saruth," Harper replied, his voice steady, despite the growing sense of danger. "If you want this fight, you've got it. But we're not leaving. Not without answers." Saruth's eyes flashed with fury. "Then prepare yourselves for what is to come. The galaxy will tremble, and you will be the first to fall." With that, the transmission was cut. Harper's jaw clenched. The Vordak were done negotiating. They weren't just fighting for control. They were fighting to maintain the secrets that had been buried for so long. The battle raged on, with Earth's fleet slowly gaining ground. But Harper knew that this was just the beginning. The Vordak were not going to give up easily, and they had already shown just how ruthless they could be. But Earth's fleet had something the Vordak didn't: the will to survive and the relentless drive to uncover the truth hidden within the galaxy's darkest secrets. As Harper prepared for the next wave of attacks, he knew one thing for sure: the stakes had just been raised, and there was no turning back now. The hidden truth revealed. The battle between Earth's fleet and the Vordak had become a brutal clash of wills. Harper sat in the command center, his eyes glued to the battle unfolding on the holographic display. The Vordak had regrouped after their initial assault. Their ships were forming into tight formations and launching coordinated attacks. But Earth's fleet had responded with equal ferocity, and despite the odds, the ancient human vessels were proving more than a match for the Vordak. "Lieutenant Harper, we're holding our ground, but the Vordak are escalating their firepower." Steele's voice crackled over the comm. "We can't sustain this for much longer." Harper clenched his jaw. The situation was growing increasingly dire, but he knew they couldn't stop now. There was more at stake than just winning this battle. There was something buried deep within the galaxy, something the Vordak had tried to keep hidden for centuries, and Earth's fleet had unknowingly unleashed it. "We need to end this now," Harper said. "Push forward. We have no choice." Steele hesitated but then gave the order. "All ships, advance. Take the fight to them." The fleet surged forward, the massive ships breaking through the Vordak's defensive lines. The sound of weapons fire filled the air as Earth's ships unleashed their most devastating weapons, the energy beams lighting up space with their intensity. One by one, the Vordak ships began to fall, their shields buckling under the onslaught. But then something unexpected happened. A massive rift appeared in the fabric of space, just beyond the Vordak fleet. The rift crackled with strange energy, and Harper's breath caught in his throat as he watched the phenomenon unfold. The Vordak ships seemed to recoil, their movements becoming erratic. They were no longer fighting as a coordinated force. They were retreating. "What the hell is that?" Steele's voice was filled with disbelief as she stared at the rift. Harper didn't answer. He knew that this was no ordinary anomaly. The rift wasn't just some random tear in space. It was something else. Something tied directly to the hidden fleet they had uncovered. The rift began to grow larger, swirling with energy, and in its center, something emerged. A massive warship, its design unlike anything Harper had ever seen before, materialized from the rift. The ship was dark, almost shadow-like, its hull adorned with strange, glowing symbols. It was a ship of unimaginable power, a relic of a long-forgotten era. The appearance of the ship sent a shockwave through the command center. The ancient fleet, it seemed, had just been the tip of the iceberg. Is that part of the fleet?" Steele asked, her voice barely a whisper. Harper nodded, his eyes wide in realization. "This is it. This is what the Vordak were hiding." The new ship was massive, hundreds of times larger than the largest ships in Earth's fleet. Its dark form loomed ominously over the battlefield, radiating an aura of power. As it moved through the rift, more ships began to emerge from the swirling energy, all of them even more advanced than the vessels of the Vordak fleet. The galaxy's darkest secret had just been revealed. The Vordak fleet, still reeling from the appearance of the massive warship, immediately began to scatter. They had no answer for this new threat. The ships that had once been the pinnacle of galactic power now seemed insignificant in the face of the ancient warship that had just emerged. Harper could feel the gravity of the moment settle in. The Vordak weren't just defending their territory, they were protecting something far more valuable. They had kept humanity in the dark for centuries, hiding the existence of this ship, and now Earth had inadvertently stumbled upon it. "Lieutenant, we're receiving a transmission," one of the officers called out. "It's coming from the new ship." Harper's heart skipped a beat. He had no idea what this transmission would bring, but he knew it was critical. He quickly activated the channel. The screen flickered to life, revealing a figure standing in front of a massive, ancient console. The figure was human. At least, it appeared to be. But there was something different about them, something unsettling. Their eyes glowed faintly, and their presence radiated an overwhelming power. "This is the legacy of humanity," the figure's voice boomed, its tone calm yet commanding. "You have awakened the vessel that will change the course of the galaxy." Harper's mind raced as the figure continued. For centuries, this fleet has remained dormant, waiting for the moment when the chosen ones would come to awaken it. "You, Lieutenant Harper, are one of those chosen." The words echoed in Harper's mind. He wasn't just part of a military operation. He was part of something far bigger. He had just unlocked the key to Earth's true potential, a potential that had been hidden away for millennia. This wasn't just about survival. It was about something far more important, a legacy of unimaginable power. The figure continued. The Vordak tried to suppress this legacy, to ensure it never saw the light of day. But now that it has, the galaxy will never be the same. You are the first of many to awaken the ancient power within these ships, and with it, you will change the fate of the galaxy. Harper's breath caught in his throat as he took in the magnitude of what was unfolding. Earth had just uncovered a weapon of unimaginable power, one that would allow humanity to rise above the rest of the galaxy. But with this power came great responsibility. The galaxy had been forever changed, and now it was up to Earth to decide how to wield this newfound strength. The Vordak, meanwhile, had vanished. Their fleet was in disarray, retreating into the depths of space as the new ship began to take control. The battlefield fell eerily silent, and for the first time, Harper felt a strange sense of victory. But the victory came with a cost. The revelation of Earth's hidden legacy was just the beginning of something much larger. The galaxy had been thrown into chaos, and now humanity would have to contend with forces beyond their comprehension. Harper stood at the command platform, his mind spinning. He had no idea what the future held, but one thing was certain. Earth's place in the galaxy had just been irrevocably changed. The rise of Earth's legacy. The once peaceful silence of the galaxy had been shattered. What had started as a seemingly insignificant discovery had now escalated into something that threatened to redefine the very fabric of the galaxy. Earth's hidden fleet, powered by the secrets of a long-forgotten era, was now fully awakened, and with it, the knowledge of humanity's ancient legacy. Harper stood on the command deck of the massive warship, his eyes fixed on the vast expanse of stars visible through the massive windows. His thoughts raced as he tried to make sense of what had just happened. The mysterious figure from the transmission had spoken of a legacy, one that could change the galaxy forever. But Harper wasn't sure if humanity was ready for the responsibility that came with such power. "Lieutenant Harper," Steele's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back to the present. "The Vordak fleet has retreated, but there are reports of unknown ships moving toward our position. It seems we've attracted the attention of more than just the Vordak." Harper turned toward Steele, his expression serious. "What kind of ships? Are they hostile?" "Unclear," Steele replied. "But the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever they are, they're not standard galactic vessels, and they're moving fast." Harper clenched his fists, feeling the weight of the situation pressing down on him. This was exactly what he had feared. The moment the galaxy discovered that Earth had access to this ancient power, the stakes would escalate. This wasn't just about surviving the Vordak now. This was about humanity's place in the galaxy, and the forces that were closing in on them were likely aware of that. "We can't afford to be caught off guard," Harper said, his voice firm. "Prepare the fleet for a defensive stance. If these ships are coming for us, we need to be ready." "Understood," Steele said, turning to relay the orders. Harper stood for a moment longer, staring at the stars. The weight of responsibility had never felt heavier. The mysterious ship that had appeared out of the rift was not just an advanced weapon. It was a symbol of humanity's long-lost power, a power that had been hidden away for centuries, waiting for the right moment to be unleashed. But who else knew about it, and how many factions in the galaxy would seek to control it? Before he could process further, the bridge's alarms blared, signaling an incoming transmission. Harper quickly moved to the communication station, his heart pounding. The screen flickered to life, and once again, the strange figure from the warship's transmission appeared. Their glowing eyes stared through the screen, their expression calm but their presence overwhelming. "The time has come for Earth to claim its rightful place," the figure said, their voice booming with authority. "The fleet you've awakened is part of a greater network. A network of ships that, when united, can reshape the galaxy. But you are not the only ones aware of this power. Others will come for it, just as the Vordak did. And they will not stop until they have it for themselves." Harper swallowed hard, the weight of the situation sinking in. He had always believed that Earth had the potential for greatness, but he had never imagined it would come like this. The fate of the galaxy, it seemed, was now tied to the choices he made. "You must choose wisely," the figure continued. "The fleet's power can either bring peace or destruction. You, Lieutenant Harper, must decide how humanity will use this gift. There is no turning back now." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Harper standing in stunned silence. His mind raced with the implications of the figure's words. The fleet, the legacy, the power. It was all far bigger than anything he had imagined. And now, Earth was in the middle of something far larger than a simple battle for survival. They were in the midst of a galactic conflict over the future of the entire galaxy. "Lieutenant," Steele's voice broke the silence again. "The unknown ships are approaching fast. They'll be here in less than an hour." Harper straightened, his resolve hardening. "Prepare for combat. We won't back down. Not now." The crew of the command center moved swiftly, preparing the fleet for the inevitable confrontation. Harper's mind was already calculating their options. If these new ships were seeking to take control of the fleet, they had to be stopped. Earth's future, its very place in the galaxy, was at risk. The view screen flickered, and the strange ships appeared on the horizon. They were unlike anything Earth had seen before, sleek, black, and impossibly fast. Their design was unmistakably alien, their engines radiating an intense energy signature. As they approached, the tension in the air thickened. Harper knew these ships were not here to negotiate. They were here to take. "Commander," an officer said urgently, "the ships are locking weapons onto our fleet." "Activate the fleet's shields. Full power," Harper ordered. The command center erupted into action as the fleet prepared for the worst. Harper's fingers hovered over the console, his mind sharp, but his heart heavy with the knowledge that the fate of the galaxy now rested on their shoulders. "Lieutenant, they're opening fire," Steele shouted. The first blast hit the Earth fleet's shields, sending a shockwave throughout the command center. The shields held, but Harper knew they couldn't take too many hits like that. The unknown ships were stronger than they looked. "Return fire," Harper shouted. "All ships, engage." Energy beams erupted from the Earth fleet, striking the incoming ships. The first volley seemed to have little effect, but as Earth's ships adjusted their targeting systems, the alien vessels began to falter. The tide of the battle was shifting, But Harper knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was now on a knife's edge, and only the decisions made in the coming moments would determine whether humanity would rise to greatness or be crushed under the weight of forces far beyond their control. The reckoning. The battle raged on. The air inside the command center buzzed with activity, and Harper could feel the tension in his bones. The strange alien ships had engaged the fleet, their firepower overwhelming, but not enough to break through Earth's defenses. The battle was far from won, but for the first time since the fleet had awakened, Harper felt a flicker of hope. "Lieutenant, we've detected something," Steele called out, her voice strained. "The ships are withdrawing. But they're not retreating. They're signaling." Harper raised an eyebrow. It didn't make sense. If they were retreating, why send a signal? He quickly moved to Steele's side, his eyes scanning the holographic display in front of them. The alien ships were indeed pulling back, slowing their advance and creating a defensive perimeter around something. "We've intercepted their message," Steele continued. "It's not just a retreat. They're calling for reinforcements." Harper's mind raced. Reinforcements. If these ships were only the vanguard of a larger fleet, then Earth was facing something far greater than he had anticipated. The stakes had just been raised. "Commander Harper," came a voice from the tactical station. "We're receiving a transmission. It's coming from the alien ships, again." Harper's heart skipped. He gestured for the channel to be opened. The screen flickered, and once more, the mysterious figure appeared. This time, their glowing eyes were full of silent intensity. "You've done well to defend your world," the figure's voice echoed through the command center, calm yet loaded with an unspoken threat. "But you are not the only ones who possess power beyond imagination. The fleet you've awoken is but a fragment of what lies dormant in the depths of this galaxy." Harper clenched his jaw. The figure's words sent a cold shiver down his spine. The power of Earth's hidden fleet wasn't unique, and whatever else lay dormant in the galaxy was yet to be revealed. "We have watched you, human," the figure continued, "and we have seen your potential. But do not mistake this for victory. We will return, and when we do, you will understand that the galaxy is not yours to claim." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Harper stood motionless for a moment, absorbing the weight of the figure's warning. The battle had only just begun, and already the galaxy was reminding them of its vast and unforgiving nature. Earth was not alone in wielding ancient power. There were others, hidden forces just waiting to make their move. "Lieutenant Harper, reinforcements are inbound," Steele said, her voice trembling with uncertainty. "They've called for backup, and we're already detecting multiple ships entering this sector. Their energy signatures are off the charts. We can't match that kind of power." Harper's mind spun. If this new wave of ships had the same advanced technology as the ones they had already faced, then Earth's fleet was in danger. They were no match for what was coming. They had barely held their ground against the first wave, and now reinforcements were on the way. Earth's hidden legacy was both a blessing and a curse. "We don't have much time," Harper said, his voice low. "Prepare the fleet to move out. We need to get out of here and regroup before we're overwhelmed." Steele shook her head. "It's too late for that. They're already here." Harper turned toward the view screen, his gaze locked onto the incoming ships. The darkness of space was broken by a fleet of sleek, shadowy vessels, each one more menacing than the last. Their sheer size and speed were terrifying, and Harper could feel the weight of their presence as they approached. It was as if the very fabric of space itself had bent to their will. "We're being surrounded," one of the officers called out in alarm. "They've trapped us." The situation had escalated to a breaking point. Earth's fleet, the very one that had been so victorious in the early stages of this battle, was now trapped in a lethal stranglehold. There was no escape, no safe retreat. The alien forces were far more powerful, and Earth's fledgling fleet was outmatched. "We have to make a stand," Harper declared, his voice rising with authority. We've survived this long because we've adapted, because we've fought back. We are not going to let Earth's legacy be erased in a single battle. Prepare for all-out engagement. If this is the end, we go down fighting." The crew moved quickly, adjusting their tactics and preparing for the worst. Every officer knew that this could be their final stand. They would either break through this galactic force and escape, or they would perish defending the legacy they had uncovered. Harper's thoughts lingered on the figure's final words. "You will understand that the galaxy is not yours to claim." The figure's words haunted him. What was this hidden legacy Earth had unlocked? Why were these aliens so desperate to stop them from wielding the ancient power of the fleet? Before Harper could consider this further, the alien ships opened fire. The first salvo hit their shields with a deafening roar. The force of the impact rattled every deck, and for a moment, Harper could barely hear the chaos unfolding around him. "Shields holding," an officer shouted, but the strain was evident in his voice. But not for long. Harper gritted his teeth. This wasn't the end, not if he had anything to say about it. "Target their weak points," Harper barked. "We need to disable their weapons. We can't let them finish us off." The fleet retaliated, launching a series of strikes aimed at the alien ship's key areas. The battle was fierce and unrelenting, and every moment felt like a lifetime. The ships continued to trade fire, the gap between life and death growing narrower with each passing second. But then, just as it seemed all hope was lost, a new signal emerged. A burst of energy, brighter and more powerful than anything seen before, erupted from deep within the heart of Earth's fleet. The signal wasn't just a call for help. It was a beacon of power, drawing on the full strength of the hidden legacy. Harper's eyes widened as the energy pulse from the fleet surged outward, striking the alien ships with force. The energy seemed to shatter the darkness of space itself, a devastating weapon that momentarily turned the tide of battle. The question was now, could Earth harness this power, or would it consume them just as quickly as it had arrived?